It's time for Wolo and Friends on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here is your host, the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
As I was walking down the street one day, a man came up to me and asked me what the time was that was on my watch. Yeah, I said, does anybody really know what time it is? Does anybody really care? If so, I can't imagine why we've all got time enough to cry. I was walking down.
Dave is getting situated. Things are happening fast here with the IARP ruling coming out right now.
Welcome in. What a day. What a day. Man. Yeah, you normally spill a little coffee when I came in because my briefcase thing broke. My little strap. So I had to clean everything up, being the detail-oriented person that I am. And kind of ruined the open to the show, but what a day it is, seriously. I think Stats Norris really had the line of the day. He said that IARP decision is like beating Louisville at Freedom Hall by 40. Who saw this result? No one. No one. I thought there would be certainly a suspension of games for Penny. I thought the fine might be higher. I didn't think there would be postseason ban. I thought there could be loss of scholarships for sure. And this is literally nothing. It's amazing. It says a few things. Let's just go over what this is. You got a $5,000 fine, nothing. Now, you got 0.25% of whatever the basketball budget is. I've been trying to find that out. I think it's in the neighborhood of $10 million. So 0.25% of the $10 million would be $25,000. That isn't very much either. So you're looking at $30,000, maybe a little bit more. 3-year probation, what does that mean? You can't do anything wrong. I don't think he's really done a whole lot wrong anyway. I mean, all these things were level 2 and level 3. And he was a first-time offender, so there wasn't much the NCAA really could do with Penny if they wanted to. You had to vacate all 3 wins in which James Wiseman participated. And that's it. No postseason ban, no loss of scholarships. Penny's going to coach in every game. I was a little worried. Even if he got a 2-game suspension, that meant you were going to lose him for Vandy and St. Louis. And I was thinking, maybe he should have rethought that schedule in the beginning. But maybe Penny knew. Maybe he felt that after their meetings and that lawyer representation, that things were going to go their way. I know quietly the university felt they weren't going to get lots. Most people in the media thought the penalties would be somewhat severe. Certainly a loss of Penny's games, a percentage of the schedule, certainly a loss of scholarships. None of that occurred. And that has to do with many things, I would guess. First off, they were wrong to begin with. They were flat out wrong to begin with. Penny Hardaway gave money to James Wiseman's mother to move from Nashville to Memphis for him to participate in high school. He had no idea he was going to become the coach who could then bring the player to the University of Memphis. Didn't. The reason they could tie him in there is because he gave, when James Wiseman was 3 years old, he gave the university $1 million, which made him a booster. That correlation tied into all of this. They were wrong. Bottom line. Second thing is, they had a darn good lawyer who did a great job. Third thing, I'll give some credit to David Rudd. He went in and he fought and wrote a letter pertaining to the bullying by an investigator that is no longer involved. And maybe they felt that that investigator put them in a bad light too. That could all be a part of what plays into this final decision. But now when Penny begins practice, he doesn't have a shadow over his program. He is free to recruit. No one can say they're not going to play in postseason play. He can go for anything he wants to now. He can get the great transfers. I don't know if Acott left because he thought Western Kentucky had a better chance of playing in the NCAA, that Memphis wasn't going to make it. Maybe it was the NIL money. I don't know. Maybe some boosters felt like we're not going to give the NIL money till we see what's going to happen with probation. All that's gone. All of that has just evaporated. What a day for Penny Hardaway. What a day for the University of Memphis. Normally, we would talk with Jason Munz today, but he's going to be busy writing at 10:45. Jarvis Greer is going to swap with him. So we'll have Jarvis today, and we can talk a little bit about Tiger football and this decision, which clearly makes everybody just go, it's over. It's finally over. By the way, pertaining to the Tigers, that game on Saturday was a W. It was not a pretty W. I have heard several coaches, both football and basketball, talk about every year. In football, there's going to be one game where it's a stinker. You just it doesn't work for you, and you hope you don't lose that game. But it's just a bad day at the office. And the defense bailed out a bad day at the office for the offense and Seth Hennigan. By the way, I didn't hear the boos, but I don't think Hennigan would be making it up. So there must have been boos, but it really wasn't, I think, geared at necessarily his play. It appears that they thought he should have had the ball snapped so they could have gotten an offsides on North Texas. And so they were a little upset, the fans that booed, how many there were. Again, I didn't hear it, but it appeared to bother Hennigan.
Not to speak on Brian Dacus' behalf, but he was in the press box as well, and he also said he didn't hear it. Now, maybe it's because it's so far away, but
yeah,
but not to say, like
far away.
Not to say, like you said, not to say he's making it up, but just another firsthand account.
Well, the other thing, Hennigan's learning lessons too. He's only a sophomore. It's only that was his 15th game, and that's part of the business. You get the accolades. Everybody's talking about your freshman All-American season, how good you've been, the 300-yard games, the 400-yard games. Okay. Sometimes you got a stinker, you get you get booed a little bit. You got to take that. You got to learn how to take that, and so that's a little teaching lesson for him. But I've heard basketball coaches say there's going to be 2 or 3 games you stink. You hope you win those games. There's going to be 2 or 3 that just everything falls your way. You win by 30, even against good teams. I've seen that happen too. I kind of subscribe, at least for football. There's going to be one game where you are bad, and you hope you win that game. I think that was Memphis' stinker. We will find out. And this league is up for grabs. I mean, East Carolina lost to Navy, and that, I think, is going to be a very tough game. Houston's a 2-2 team. They haven't played a conference game yet. They will this week. I believe that's a Friday game. I think it's against Tulane, but we'll see how all of that plays out. By the way, the basketball budget's around $5 million. So they're losing 12.5, something like that, at 0.25%. Nothing.
Houston at home against Tulane on Friday.
That's what, yeah. And Tulane lost to Southern Miss this week.
That's right. Southern Miss played Miami close.
This conference is up for grabs, and I'm telling you, that could have been the stinker. If that's the stinker and the offense gets back on track, because, look, North Texas's defense by numbers is worse than Arkansas State and Navy. So I'm going to just say this was a bad day at the office. Some of it might have been you lost the left side of your line. You lost Austin Myers. You lost Jonah Gamble. I don't know what their status is. I was out yesterday, so I wasn't at the meeting, at the press conference. But that's big because, And now Mykylan Pounders, who was your initial starter as a redshirt freshman. He's played in one quarter. He came in, he played, and he had a couple of penalties. He gave way to a couple of guys that put pressure on Hennigan. One, I think, resulted in a sack. One ended up resulting in a run for 6 yards. But he's still learning. So you're really down in the O-line. But if that's the stinker and you win the game and you win by 10 because your defense comes to play, then who knows what happens. They're halfway to a bowl right now. That's all I know. 3-1, and they're almost a 20-point favorite to beat a Temple team. And Temple is on paper a very good defensive team. I think 16th in the country defensively. They put more pressure. They're up in the upper percentile on putting pressure on the quarterback and sacking them. But who's Temple played?
Duke, undefeated until Kansas. They haven't scored. No, I'm sorry. They didn't score in week 1, and they didn't. And they shut out UMass last week. I was about to say they haven't scored in 2 weeks, but that's not accurate. They played Duke.
No, they scored 4. It was like nothing at the half, though.
Yeah, that's right.
They scored 4 touchdowns on a UMass team that I don't think is very good, and
lost 16-14 against Rutgers.
All you got to do is take a look. 16-14 against a Big Ten team. That's pretty good.
No, and Rutgers isn't terrible. I don't know though. And then beat Lafayette 30-14, and then like I said, got shut out by Duke 30-0.
So they apparently are a decent defensive team. There's not much offense to them. I know they switched to a true freshman quarterback in Warner, who is Kurt Warner's son, but I believe I looked last week when they were shut out at the half, they made a change back to their original quarterback, and I believe he's the guy that engineered the 4 touchdowns.
It looks like no. So E.J. Warner had 2 touchdowns. Quincy Patterson only threw 3 passes. So E.J. Warner was still in there.
So
for a lot
he's
of
still
the
their
game.
guy?
173 last week. Wow, Kurt Warner's son coming to town.
Yeah, but the Tigers are 19.5-point favorites in that game. So we shall see. It will be interesting for sure. Major League Baseball, Pujols did it. So Tim Doolin's going to join us here in just a couple of minutes. Jeff Moore on all the NFL. Do you know, this is amazing to me. Pete Rozelle would be so happy. He wanted parity. He wanted on any given Sunday, any team in the NFL could beat another team. Do you know how many games? So let me think. There's 16, 32, 48 games played in the NFL so far this year. How many of those have been decided by a field goal or less? Do you know?
I don't.
Monday Night Football had this last night. Blew me away. 18 games. 18 games of 48 have been decided by a field goal or less.
It was like 9 this week were 1-score games, too. So talk about parity. Anybody can beat anybody.
It's great. Jeff Moore will be here to talk about that, and then Jarvis Greer will be with us. We'll talk a little bit more about Tiger football, and we will talk about this IARP decision, which basically is a $5,000 fine and then another $12,000 or $13,000 for your budget, 3 years probation. You vacate all 3 wins in which James Wiseman participated, all level 2 and level 3 violations. No penny game suspensions, no loss of scholarships, no postseason bans. Memphis walks away pretty darn free and easy. And it's finally over. One last thing, and we will get to Tim Doolin and talk a little baseball. And, well, we know now that all of the races are in. I mean, all 12 baseball teams that are going to be in the playoffs are decided. That's done. But Grizzlies, media day yesterday, I can understand all the enthusiasm. How couldn't you? So many possibilities. Looks like Triple Dre is healthier than many of us thought he would be. They said he could be back early. Remember, it was anywhere from November to January he'd be back. Most people saying December. The timetable is definitely accelerated. Now, Taylor Jenkins was asked, does that mean he could be there for opening night? He said, no, he's not going to be there for opening night. But let's just say he comes back middle of November. even if it's December 1st. You're not going to miss that many games. Now, who replaces him is the big deal here. And wish I could tell you who that could be, because it could be a million guys. It could be Zaire Williams. It could be Dylan Brooks. It could be Brandon Clark, which sort of I got the feeling it'll be. It could be Jake LaRavia. It could be David Roddy. It could be Santi Aldama. And everybody's talking about this is the year Aldama really becomes a player. Maybe he gets the same kind of improvement that Desmond Bain had. All the possibilities are really terrific. And you realize they play their first exhibition game already on Friday?
It's coming up, and the NHL started this weekend,
Yeah.
so preseason for the winter sports is on its way.
Well, here's what sort of blows me away, honestly. That's the sport you want to play because there's hardly any practice. They had media day yesterday, right? That's Monday. I'm sure they had some practice after that. Then practice Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, you're traveling to Milwaukee after practice, right? You got a game on Friday. I mean, hardly any practice.
Well, I think the Heat, not that you want preseason basketball takes, but the Heat still run a traditional training camp that's really hard. I mean, Pat Riley's still in charge of that outfit, so it's a difficult thing. And I think that gives them a huge advantage, the fact that they are the only team in the NBA nowadays that runs a traditional training camp like that.
It's crazy, but I like what Taylor Jenkins said that. In all the exhibition games, he's going to play all these crazy lineups just to figure out chemistry, who fits better together than one lineup or the other. I think it's right. I think he's right on. I think it's going to be a fun year for the Grizzlies. 56 wins last year. Can they beat that? I think they can, depending on when Triple J comes back and what kind of player in terms of conditioning and everything else he is going to be. I know he wants to be Defensive Player of the Year. Okay, my computer is not showing me. We got Tim Doolin. He's coming your way in a minute. We're sitting in the Family Leisure Studios where you get, with the world's biggest spa sale, 30% off in-stock spas, huge discounts on the swim spas, and there's special financing available. That's I-40 and Whidden Road. Family and fun come together at Family Leisure, where the world's biggest spa sale is going on right now. And our title sponsor, you know it's Homer Skelton Hyundai in Olive Branch. Deals on financing, deals with some money off sticker price coming your way on Hyundai, Santa Fe's, and on Tucson's. Others are charging over sticker price never at Homer Skelton Hyundai in Olive Branch. So the playoff teams are all in. Tim Doolin joins us now. Thank you, Timmy. We appreciate your participation as baseball season winds its way down. Let's start with Albert Pujols. You know, he's the first guy ever to hit .699 and 700 in the same game.
Well, there's not many guys that have done it, but yeah, that's unbelievable, isn't it? It's just kind of crazy how baseball guys do what they do, because for him to do it in LA already have clinched. The fans in LA are awesome. The players, I think, obviously love Albert all over the baseball world, but I just thought it was unbelievable. I talked to Mookie, and he said it was electric, and obviously all the Dodger players loved Albert and what he brought to their clubhouse, and he's having a stellar year, and what a way to go out for him, and it's not over.
I love it that it was L.A. because that's where he made the majority of his big money, was that big 10-year deal he got from the Angels. Then it was the Dodgers who took him last year before he came to finish his career here. He got the 700. I don't care if this is the case. I've heard people speculate. You think they groove those? Because the Dodgers love him too. You think they were thrown right down the middle batting practice?
No, that doesn't happen.
Okay.
I don't, and that might be a situation where, you know, there might be a catcher that's mad like Bull Durham or whatever, but no, these guys compete on a daily. I can tell you that didn't happen, and Albert would not have wanted that to happen. I'd be willing to bet you if they told Albert, he wouldn't have hit the 2 home runs because he would have been trying to do too much, and his conscience would have got him. I don't think that happened at all.
Okay, I would just say this.
And look, regardless if it happened or not, you can tell major league hitters what's coming, and that don't mean they're going to hit a home run. It don't even mean they're going to hit it hard.
I would just say this to you. If it were game 162 and I were on the mound and Albert needed one home run, I'd have grooved it like it was batting practice or the home run derby.
Nah, I wouldn't have. But I hear what you're saying and respect that. But I just don't think that. I don't think players at that level in any sport do that. And I don't think so. I mean, if you look, the guy. First of all, you wouldn't tell him I'm going to throw a hanging curveball. Okay, the second one was a hanging curveball. So why not just throw him another fastball down the middle if you're going to do it? You know.
I hear you. Okay, so there's only 4 guys now who have hit 700 home runs. Babe, Maris, Albert, and Bonds, who you can put an asterisk on it if you want to. If we go to 60 home runs, we know that the Babe did it, and that was like the 4-minute mile. It took forever from the 1920s until the 1960s for Roger Maris to get to 61. Now here comes Judge, who's gotten to 60. So he's really the third guy other than the steroid guys. We got Bonds, we got Sosa, we got McGuire. They're the only other guys to get to 60, and 2 are at 70. So that's 3 guys if you don't count the steroid guys, same as we got with 700. Which to you is bigger? Because one, it's like that milestone, that 4-minute mile that was so anticipated, that held up for so long, and now you've only got the same sort of class at 700, which is more like a sprint and a marathon. I get that. Which to you is a bigger achievement?
To me, there's no question about it. The 700.
Yeah.
It gives you the longevity, the consistency. Those 2 things alone and nothing to take away from Judge. Okay, I mean the year that he's had, not just home run wise, but average runs, RBIs, all those things. It is a historical year that he's had, and I'm not discounting it. However, I can tell you that the baseballs in today's era are harder than they've ever been. I mean, they feel like a golf ball. If you were to hold a Major League Baseball, it feels like a golf ball. So guys are hitting balls out of the park, and you've seen it with broken bats. They've hit it off the handle and still getting it out. I mean, and again, Judge is 6'7" and built like a brick house, right? So I'm not taking anything away from him, but to me, it goes to the fact that the consistency level, the longevity, all those things are much more important to me in valuing the player than just one season.
All right, last thing for Tim Doolin on baseball. The playoffs are in the National League. We know Dodgers, Mets, Cards, Braves, Padres, Phils. In the American League, Houston, Cleveland, New York, Toronto, Tampa, Seattle. Any surprises with those 12 teams?
No, I don't think so. I think if it plays itself out, I think you're going to see the Astros and probably the Dodgers.
I wouldn't disagree.
Again, it's going to come down to who's playing the best when it matters. Who's going to put balls in play? Who's going to be consistent in catching the ball and getting quality pitching, et cetera. But I think those 2 teams are no question the best 2 teams in both leagues, and it'll be interesting to see how they manage their clubs going into the playoffs as far as getting guys rest. We've talked about it the last 2 or 3 weeks on the show. So it's gonna be fun.
Oh, it's going to be great. The only surprise for me is Cleveland in over the White Sox. The White Sox have been hurt all year long at critical places, and there just was a disconnect with Tony La Russa. And what's his status right now?
I don't know, but we talked about that when they hired Tony. The age factor, the health issues, the ability to continue to be able to relate, which I think he's had tough times with his superstar shortstop at times, and that's not good. And yet you look at the body of work that Terry Francona has done over his entire career. I don't think he's done a better job than this year managing, and he's had some health issues.
I
But
agree.
this guy's amazing. He's amazing, and I love the Indians and what they've done. I just don't think they've got enough.
You mean the Guardians, my friend? The Guardians.
Yeah, I'll call them the Indians, but the Guardians, yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Tim. We appreciate it. Talk to you next week.
All right, well, thank you.
That's our friend. That's Tim Doolin on baseball. He's brought to you in part by the Eflin Insurance Team. You know, Matt's a big Tiger guy. In his number, 901-386-GER, that's 4777, and he does it sort of a different way. It's collaboration. He sits down with your family. He gets to know you, whether it is life insurance or a program for your car, home insurance. He gets to know your family, what your budget is, and protects you. Same thing with small to mid-sized businesses, commercial insurance. He'll forecast out exactly what is important to you, what your budget is, and he protects that as well. Again, the Eflin Insurance Team, they collaborate and protect you with the right insurance program. And this portion of the show is brought to you by BetUS.com. Okay, the weekend is over with the NFL, and we're going to talk about it with Jeff Moore. So many of you get in on the action. I saw the amount of money that is bet so far in the state of Tennessee. It's almost $3 billion already, and we're not that far into the season. So when you are looking for a place to place your bets, you want a place that's got integrity, that's been around a while, that's got a track record, and makes sure you get paid. That's BetUS.com. 28 years with the NFL. There's NBA, MLB. There's a lot more. MMA, golf, live betting. They got esports, all kinds of crazy bets. They even have live dealers waiting for you at tables with European slots. It's really cool. And it's got the best sign-up bonus of anybody, 200%. All you got to do is go to BetUS.com or call 1-800-79-BET-US. If you do that, please use this promo code SPORTS56Radio. SPORTS56Radio. That's BetUS, where the game begins. The NFL coverage continues right here with Jeff Moore in just a minute.
Let former Memphis Tiger Gabe Kuhn and Brett Norsworthy take you home every afternoon with Sports Time on Sports 56. Weekdays from 3 to 6 here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Hey gentlemen, Bill Russell here at Russell Brothers Fine Jewelers, and I want you to think about something. When was the last time you surprised your wife or your girlfriend with something nice for absolutely no reason at all? Not a birthday, not an anniversary, but for no reason other than to show her that you do not take her and all that she does for you for granted. For 37 years, we've been helping Memphis men show their ladies how grateful they are to have them in their lives. For special occasions, well, gifts are expected, but a lot of times the unexpected presents, given for no reason other than love, have the most impact and say the most to her. Those gifts say you care, all the time, every day. At Russell Brothers Jewelers, we've been helping men say I love you for 5 decades. The size or the price of the gift is of little importance. It's the thought you put into it that will make her smile. Come see me, Bill Russell, at Russell Brothers Fine Jewelers. Let us help you find just the right thing, large or small, that will help her know how you feel. Russell Brothers Fine Jewelers, 4646 Poplar at Perkins.
2000, 2008, 2022. When it comes to the economy, those are some scary years. .com crash, housing crash, and the roller coaster we're going through right now. It's a dangerous time to not know your numbers. But over 31,000 businesses have the confidence and clarity they need because they rely on NetSuite by Oracle, the #1 cloud financial system. NetSuite gives you visibility and control of financials, inventory, HR, planning, and budgeting. Manage risk, get reliable forecasts, improve margins. Everything you need all in one place. So, how do you prepare for uncertain times? The answer, NetSuite. NetSuite helps you identify rising costs, automate your business processes, and easily see where to save money. That's why 93% of customers say they improved their visibility and control when they upgraded to NetSuite. What are you waiting for? NetSuite is offering a one-of-a-kind flexible financing program. Head to netsuite.com/play. netsuite.com/play.
This is Sheldon Rosengarten with Mark's Bensdorf Realtors. I'm often called Shell Done because I sell homes and work with buyers and I get the job done. There are 7 keys to successfully selling your home quickly at a great price. First, call me. I do my research and advise you on preparation, presentation, and proper pricing that gets you the activity to get the best price. Follow my advice and it can happen. I did mention 7 keys to a successful sale, didn't I? Well, if you use the first key, calling or emailing me, you really don't need the next 6 keys. Remember, that's Sheldon Rosengarten at 483-0546 or MemphisRelocate.com. If you don't need me now, write it down for later or for a friend. That's Sheldon at 483-0546 at MemphisRelocate.com. Do it now, and who knows, you may hear your home advertised here. Remember, as bad a golfer as I am, when selling homes, Sheldon gets it done.
Now back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM, presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
Program now tomorrow. Mickey Barker, who's head of Memphis City Golf, will be on with us. And he's got some really cool things he wants to tell you about what's going to happen in October at all the city golf courses, competitions for you. It's going to be really fun. And he'll talk a little bit about what is about to take place at Audubon. It's spectacular. Pine Hill probably won't open until spring, but that's going to be terrific. The city of Memphis, they have invested in golf. They know it's a great amenity. Great things are happening with city golf. Go play Fox Meadows. Go play Audubon. Go play Gallery. Go play the new Overton Park. You'll understand what I am talking about. Okay. Jeff Moore, as he always does on Tuesdays, joins us to go over the week in the National Football League. And we have parity. Pete Rozelle is smiling. Somewhere up in heaven, he wanted where any team could beat any team. In 48 games, 18 have been decided by 3 points or less. That is the most parity I think I've ever seen in the National Football League.
And it's exciting to watch as well. But, you know, it's great to see teams like Jacksonville being relevant for a change. Nobody saw Philadelphia coming out of the East. And really the best team in that division. Really a lot of folks, experts, are saying they're the best team in the league so far. And you look at them, they had 9 sacks this weekend. Their offense is playing out of their minds. Nobody saw that coming. And I think it just speaks well to the way these teams are preparing. Players are preparing, coaches. You look at Miami, who thought they would beat Buffalo? I mean, Buffalo's got a lot of people hurt, but going into the
Buffalo
season,
kind of gave that game away, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, they had a chance to win. And frankly, I think if they played 4 out of 5 times, I think Buffalo would win. I mean, I just think Buffalo's better team, even with their injuries.
Well, just look at the numbers in that game, too.
Yeah.
There's 40 minutes of possession time to 20. I mean, everything for Miami had to go right.
Yeah.
And it did. Now, so Buffalo is not undefeated. The 2 Super Bowl champions are certainly not undefeated. In 3 weeks, there's only 2 undefeated teams. I don't think I've ever seen that before either. And that's Miami and Philly. And you just said nobody saw Philly coming. Yeah. What about Miami? Did you see? And it's crazy. It's the 2 Alabama quarterbacks who are vying for playing time with Nick Saban that are the leaders of those 2 teams.
That is so cool. I love it. I'm just glad to see Tua really being able to get in an offense where a coach believes in him. He's got good weapons around him. And, yeah, I mean, this is a very good football team. And offensively, we talk about how well they played, but, I mean, they held Buffalo to 11 points. I mean, they defensively played well, and this is just a team that I think both offensively and defensively are just playing much better than we all anticipated. So that's great for that division because, of course, the Patriots lose to Baltimore. They and of course, more importantly, they've lost Mac Jones for a few weeks. So that division is just going to be wide open. I still think Buffalo is the best team in that division, but I'm delighted to see Miami being relevant again.
I am too, and I think it's great. And, that's a terrific division that New England has owned. And, I've had them. I don't know if you have. High ankle sprains.
Yeah.
And a severe one like this that may require surgery. I don't see this guy coming back for a month. Do you?
At least. He's going to be out for a while. And, of course, that offense was still trying to find themselves. So it's a big setback for this team that he's not going to be available for a while.
And I guess it's Brian Hoyer who's the backup. And I want to say I read the stat. I couldn't believe it. He's like 0-11 as the starting quarterback of any team he's been on in the National Football League. That does not bode well for Bill Belichick and those guys. I'll tell you who impressed me last night was Cooper Rush.
Yeah.
The Cowboys were winners in New York, and it could have been by a lot more. There was 2 major drops that this guy put on the money, one to Lamb, that should have been 2 more touchdowns. I mean, this could have been a laugher. Yeah. Giants hung in there. It was a low-scoring game, but it could have been a lot worse. I think Cooper Rush may be better than Dak Prescott. I hate to say that. What's your take on it?
He's undefeated as a starter. Yeah. I'm not going to make that reach. I don't think he's better. But I do like that he's playing with a lot of confidence. His teammates understand they've got to take it up a notch. Their running game was better than it's been all season last night. And that's a really good sign for them because if they're running the ball well with the receivers that they have as they get back healthy, and if Dak gets back, they could be a formidable team in the NFC.
The Packers. They go to Tampa. And that's a close game, but really I thought they kind of dominated. I'm not saying that Brady looked pedestrian there because I thought he played pretty well. They don't have receivers. Their offensive line is not quite as good as it was. I think Green Bay is just flat out better. I'm not sure Green Bay isn't the best in the NFC. I know you're going to go for Philly now, the big surprise, but I think the Packers may be the best in the NFC.
The Packers are solid. I mean, I think you can see that Aaron Rodgers and these receivers are getting on the same page. They've got to be able to continue to be consistent in their running game, but their defense really played well, and they were fortunate. Tampa's got a lot of people out, and I think Mike Evans plays, that Chris Godwin, I think those guys could have made a difference in that game.
He's without any receivers pretty much.
So he's, with what he had to work with for them that game to be close, I think just speaks to Tampa and, of course, Tom Brady. But no question, Green Bay is playing better than they did in that first game. And I think that division is going to be competitive because I really believe Chicago's a good team. I really think they're solid.
Now, did you see how they won that game?
Yeah.
I hate to say this because I really want Justin Fields to be good. I really want him to be good. The guy didn't get 100 yards passing, and he had 2 picks. He was terrible. Yeah. I mean, it may be his worst game this year because we keep seeing a little promise, and his offensive line is still not the best. Yeah. And David Montgomery got hurt, but they got this other guy who steps up and runs the ball really well for over 100 yards, and they still play pretty good defense. But they were lucky to win that game. That was the Texans they barely beat.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, again, the incremental improvement is what I'm looking for with Chicago and with Justin Fields and their defense. If their defense continues to play well, they're going to be competitive in that division. I think Minnesota has New Orleans this weekend. That'll be a good test for them to see if they're going to meet expectations as far as they're concerned. But Green Bay is solid. I think they're going to be there in the hunt, but I think that division is going to be more competitive than it's been in a long time because Detroit is playing better.
Yeah. And Minnesota is, a lot of people thought they would be the second best team in that division. Let me switch now to the Titans. They bounced back. They had to have that win. They got that win, and they did it against Vegas, which has not been any good since John Gruden was basically kicked off the team for the remarks that he had made prior, really. Right. Is it the Titans that became better, or is Vegas just terrible?
I think the Titans went back to the formula that works for them, and that's getting the ball to Derrick Henry. And when they do that, and that opens up the play action, that just makes their offense click a lot better. And I think, the Raiders still trying to figure out, how they're going to be effective. They're going to be struggling in that division with Kansas City playing and where they're playing, in Denver getting a little bit of life. They still have some work to do to get on the same page. But I think that the Titans will be successful if they continue to go with Derrick Henry first before they start to try to pass.
I agree. And they're so weak on the offensive line. You got to have guys to block. I mean, they're down 2 starting offensive line. It sounds like Memphis Tigers a little bit. Down with those guys, how will this pay out? play out? How will the development be? I guess we'll have to wait and see. I am shocked. One of the biggest surprises for me is Jacksonville. 2-1. This is a joke of a team with Urban Meyer just a year ago. Doug Peterson's done a heck of a job, and all of a sudden, Trevor Lawrence looks really good. His numbers were as good as Herbert, and they beat the Chargers, which shocked me.
Yeah, the Chargers certainly with Justin Herbert trying to play hurt are not nearly as effective offensively. But I think you got to give credit to Jacksonville. I mean, they're playing with a lot of confidence. They're young. Their defense is playing well. And Trevor Lawrence has thrown 3 touchdowns 2 weeks in a row. They're playing with a lot of confidence. And when you got a young team like that hasn't had the kind of coaching that they're getting now, and they start to believe in themselves, they're going to be formidable. I think for them and the Titans, it's fortunate for them that the Colts haven't quite figured it out, and, of course, the Texans are going to struggle. But, that division between Jacksonville and Titans is going to be interesting to watch.
And the Jags, by the way, play at Philly this week, your new super powerful team. The Titans are going to play the Colts, who were surprise winners this week, too. We're getting surprises everywhere. Another surprise to me is the NFC West. Only the defending champ L.A. Rams are 2-1. All these others are below 500, including, and I guess I got to take back what I've been saying about Jimmy G, because he looked terrible.
He looked horrible. Classic Jimmy G, unfortunately, in that game, just doesn't seem to play very well under pressure. But, of course, that division, I think, is still up for grabs. The Rams don't look formidable offensively or defensively yet. One of the trends I'm seeing, though, so far in the league is that defenses are playing better, and they're making teams like Kansas City and these big offensive teams, they're putting their safeties back and making them execute long drives, which a lot of teams run out of patience to do. And so we see that the scores are much lower so far because these defenses, I think, are playing better. But offensively, they'll figure it out and get better as the year goes on, I think.
Last thing for Jeff Moore, who chats with us every Tuesday, former Ram, former Tennessee Volunteer. Kansas City Chiefs, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Sunday night. That's a heck of a game on NBC. The Chiefs have looked good at times, not so good at times. The Buccaneers really going to need this win, and they're at home. Can they lose 2 in a row at home?
They can lose 2 in a row at home, and, of course, they've got the injury factor that they're dealing with, and Kansas City is going to be coming off that loss to the Colts, who nobody saw coming. So they're going to be looking to play better. I like the Chiefs' chances against Tampa in that game.
And congratulations to your Tennessee Volunteers. That was a little closer than maybe a lot of people would have thought, but they did absolutely win the game, and I guess now they get to sit on that for a little bit. They got a bye week.
They got a bye week, and then we're getting ready for the gauntlet. You got LSU and Georgia right around the corner. But, I like this. I like the energy of this team. I like the enthusiasm of the coach. Their quarterback is playing really well, and this offense is scary. I mean, they can score. So, yeah, it's going to be fascinating going down the stretch to see what my Vols can do.
I think they're the second best team in the East. We'll find out a little bit this week when Kentucky plays Ole Miss.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. As always, my friend, thank you so much. We appreciate it, and we'll talk to you next Tuesday.
Look forward to it.
That is our friend Jeff Moore. He's brought to you in part by Ken Garland. Ken Garland, Custom Home Builders. Ken knows it's a big deal. You're making a financial commitment, whether you're building a new home on land maybe that you had in your family for years, or maybe you need land. Ken's got it. Or maybe it's in a renovation. You want modern amenities in your older home, and he can make an old home a modern palace. He really can. He puts in everything you want. The island in the kitchen, the media room with the hidden speakers and the television that comes down off the wall. I mean, it's pretty heady stuff. You want the granite tops. You want the California closets. You want them all. We get it. You don't have that in the older homes, but you like your lot. He knows how to do it. Go see what I'm talking about. KenGarland.com, and then call 751-1632. He's a rare guy. Sees little details, big picture all at once, and he's fun to talk to. 751-1632. If you're ready for your dream home, call Ken Garland. And this portion is also brought to you by AmeriCare. That's the place that is where you want your loved ones to go as we get older. You know, aging, they love to say you got to get exercise, you got to eat right. I agree with that. But you also have to be in a place that you feel is like home. And AmeriCare has 3 places in the Memphis area that are exactly perfect for that. The first one, South Breeze in Memphis on Hacks Cross Road. Then there's Collierville, Schilling Gardens. Really a cool place. And if you want, in North Mississippi, Olive Branch, it's called Olive Grove Terrace right there on Goodman Road. It's about wellness. You know, most people, as I say, they don't really understand how you got to feel at home, wherever you are. And this is assisted living and it's memory care. So they do extra things. They really do. They take a proactive approach to wellness. What does that mean? They work hard to keep you healthy and strong so you keep doing what you love. Meal times, you're going to be with friends. Programs that make you feel like you're part of a family. That's the best part of growing older. So go see all 3 places. You choose the one you want from AmeriCare. South Breeze on Hacks Cross. In Collierville, it's Schilling Gardens, or in Olive Branch, Olive Grove Terrace. AmeriCare. We take a break. When we come back, Jarvis Greer from Action News 5 on the IARP decision today. Ooh, what good news for the Tigers. And how Memphis escaped with a win over North Texas. Jarvo from Action News 5 is next.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
I'm Brian Elder. It's been a particularly rainy season, and that stain on your ceiling isn't getting any smaller, exposing your family to the possibility of mold. Let me come take a look. 867-0303. Our technicians are Owens Corning Platinum Preferred, so don't let someone tell you that it has to be replaced if all you need is a repair to get several more years of life. 867-0303. Have me on your speed dial for when life's little catastrophes come up. 867-0303. Upgrade your roof to a beautiful Owens Corning Duration Architectural Shingle with a 50-year warranty and an unheard of 25-year labor guarantee. I'll measure your roof from outer space and get you a competitive estimate right over the phone. Buy now and pay nothing till 2022 with approved credit. 867-0303 or BrianElderRoofing.com.
Call 867-0303. Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
Hey, Jeff Allen, it's a great day to be happy in a new Kia from Gossett Kia South Mount Moriah. What you got going on?
Randy, we'd love to make you happy with the all-new 2023 Kia Seltos LX all-wheel drive. Just $257 per month for 36-month lease and only $29.99 due at signing. Or how about a 2023 Kia Sportage LX front-wheel drive, $287 per month for 36-month lease, $34.99 due at signing.
That's what I'm talking about, Jeff. You got me happy.
And listen, Randy, if you don't see what you want, no problem. We will order exactly the perfect ride for you, and you choose your own bells and whistles.
Plus, equipped with a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty.
So whether you live in Horn Lake, South Haven, Olive Branch, or Memphis, you'll be happy at Gossett Kia Mount Moriah.
2680 Mount Moriah or KiaMountMoriah.com. $650 acquisition fee, $30,000 per year, 20 cents excess mileage, 0 security deposit. Seltos P738, 6423, MSRP 25325. Sportage P709, 8842, MSRP 27955. Includes all rebates and incentives. Must finance through Kia. Excludes tax final license with approved credit. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 10/1/2022. Dealer stock only.
Tired of waiting on your sportsbook? Waiting for deposits and withdrawals? No more waiting with Action 24/7. We're cutting out the middleman. Deposit or withdrawal in cash. Action 24/7 has more than 100 partners in Tennessee for cash deposits and withdrawals. Visit action247.com for a location. Cash deposits and withdrawals from your Tennessee sportsbook. Action247.com. You got action.
Must be 21 or older and in Tennessee. For problem gambling support, call 800-889-9789.
Now, back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM, presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
We welcome you back in on a busy day. The IARP decision is in, and the Tigers win. Best way I can put it, it's finally over. That shadow over the basketball program is over. The Tigers get a $5,000 fine plus a quarter of the average of their budget the last 3 years. It's about $5 million. So you add those things up, we're talking less than 20 grand that Memphis will have to play. There's a 3 years probation. Okay. Vacating all 3 wins in which Wiseman participated. Okay. We're used to vacation of wins, aren't we? It's all level 2 and level 3 stuff, and I think this is almost an admission by the IARP and the NCAA. They were flat out wrong to begin with. No missing of games, no suspension of Penny Hardaway, no postseason ban, no loss of scholarships. What a day for the U of M. Jarvis Greer, who's been following this, will have all kinds of stories on Action News 5 later. Kind enough to join us today for his take. How about that, Mr. Greer?
Well, everybody that was saying that, they just should have not done anything and just, bend over and take it up to what. Well, Dr. Rudd, if you saw his tweet today, said some things are worth fighting for, and that was definitely something that he and all the U of M faithful definitely believed that was worth fighting for. Some sort of case where they try to go back in time and say, okay, Penny, you're a booster since you gave $1 million to the school 15 years ago. Now you can't recruit anybody from Memphis. Okay. Or you can't do that. Well, so, and plus the IRP is going away anyway. And there was really no way, if you look at the U of M's point and how they argued this case, and shout out to the lawyers for the University of Memphis and how they argued the case, that, what were they going to really get Memphis on? Because Penny was not the coach at the time that this alleged infraction happened.
And he's a first-time offender.
Nothing to do with the university.
Right.
He's a first-time offender. So, and also, I think there was a big deal in there from the Zoom that the NCAA put on at 10 o'clock today, saying that the NCAA did not notify Memphis of Wiseman's possible ineligibility until after the season had started. Well, gee whiz, what are you supposed to do with that? We start the season, they're going to play.
That's a little like Derrick Rose. So you know what? They ought to allow us to put that 2008 banner back up.
Well, I don't know if that caterpillar is going to fly or not. Turn into a moth, turn into a butterfly. But we'll see how that goes going forward. But the whole IARP that the NCAA is basically admitting that it just didn't work because they're going to cancel it. They're going to disband that anyway. So, it's a huge day for the University of Memphis. The cloud is lifted. Penny will be on the bench. No suspension for him. No loss of scholarships. They do have to put in writing during the 3-year probation that all people that they recruit, have to know that, hey, look, Memphis is on probation. Okay. Memphis is on probation.
Believe me, all the other schools will let all those recruits know. But in the end, what does it mean? Probation means nothing unless you do something wrong. And if you don't do anything wrong, it means nothing. So,
you have to mind all your P's and Q's going forward.
You make a good point about former President Dr. Rudd. He believed this was a sham from the get-go. He also pointed out, and I don't think they'll say this, but in my mind, I think it's a part of this. He pointed out how a investigator, an interviewer of players was out of control. And that guy, by the way, is no longer with the NCAA or the IARP. He's got a new job somewhere else in the legal community. But he got tossed because he had inappropriate, behavior. And I think that becoming public, the IARP knew that was an issue. As you mentioned, all the other things they said today. Bottom line is they were flat out wrong with all of this. And, probably Memphis made a mistake to play him once they came out, James Wiseman. Otherwise, nothing would have occurred. And so this is a pretty darn good compromise. It's going to cost you $20,000 and 3 years of probation. That's it.
Well, the thing is, it's the whole matter of principle that's involved here, and that the U of M was willing to fight that fight when a lot of people were telling them, no, don't do it. Just do what the NCAA says. Well, North Carolina didn't do what the NCAA said. They fought, and their myriad of sins is, you're talking about
academic fraud,
and all that business. And so still nothing has happened in North Carolina, nor will anything happen in North Carolina. So, you pick your battles, and this is one that Dr. David Rudd picked the battle with the NCAA. And I would say that now they did say a public reprimand and censure. Okay. Public reprimand. Don't do it again.
What?
You shouldn't have done it.
I love that. Public reprimand. What does that really mean? Unless you're just trying to embarrass somebody, right? That's it. We don't have much on them, but we're going to do this. And we blew the whole investigation, and we didn't even give you notice of that the kid was ineligible till the season. I mean, there's so many things. It's good that they've disbanded the IARP because that thing was a total mess. All right, before we run out of time, we only got about a minute and a half or 2 minutes here. Jarva, do you believe in the theory? And I've heard many coaches say you're going to have in football one stinker per year. One game where everything goes absolutely right and you're going to win walking away, but one game that you're a stinker in. Nothing works for you, and so you hope you win that game. Do you believe, if that theory is correct and you believe that the game against North Texas was that game?
I think that would go for being a stinker would just go basically to Seth Hennigan, the quarterback, because I think everybody else did a pretty good job. The special teams played well, the defense played well, and it's one of those things where Seth just had a bad game, and he got confused by Phil Bennett, the defensive coordinator at North Texas, but that's just one bad game. The kids played how many now? And it has looked very good, and pretty much, and would have looked. This would even be a better season for him had Memphis not dropped 6 passes in the Mississippi State game. He hadn't dropped 6 passes since 2013. So, it's just one of those things. 2 of the 3 phases of football, offense, defense, special teams, played pretty well against North Texas. And you get out with a win, and that you'll take that and run on. An ugly win is worth, way better than, 100 pretty losses. You take a drink of water, spit it out, and go on from there. And I think Seth realized he still got a lot to learn. He's just 19 years old.
Oh yeah. Oh, and I never heard the booze. I don't think you ever heard the booze. We'd have mentioned it if we did. He heard the booze, and there's another learning lesson. You gotta have thick skin on your neck there.
Yeah, and Coach Silverfield said he's still a pretty cool customer, and he definitely. Yeah, you hear the boos, and you can't not hear them. You're out there on the field, and there are people yelling there right, from the stands. But, like I said, you take that drink of water, spit it out, and move on. And he is, as a coach's son, he has learned to accept, bitter things with the good things. And we've seen him, just grow up. We watch these kids grow up before our eyes, right? They come here 18, 19 years old, and they leave at 21, 22. And a whole lot happens, not only physically, but between the ears during that time. And, Seth Hennigan has been a great quarterback, and he is still a great quarterback, and I think he's one of the best in the nation, and I'm not worried about him going forward.
I'm not either. As always, my friend, I appreciate it. I know I'll see you Thursday at our meetings, and we'll see you Saturday in the press box. And we thank you for switching times with us today. We had to get your take on the Tigers and the IARP. Great day for the U of M. Fly the flag, folks. It's a W. Great day. It's a W. No question. No question about that. Right. That is Jarvis Greer from Action News 5. He's been brought to you in part by Conway. Conway Services, heating, cooling, plumbing, and electric. And right now, the early bird special. Oh, it feels like fall now, doesn't it? Nippy this morning, in the low 50s some places in our market. Conway wants to help you out right now and save you some money. Usually, that special tune-up I talk about, 16 points inside, outside, they clean up your units. Usually $69. The early bird for your heating system is $49. Conway's done it, $49. It includes the check for carbon monoxide. I don't want you to have a costly breakdown during the cold Memphis months. I want you to save on your MLGW because you're the bill because you're efficient. Please call 384-3511. Save some money. Get that tune-up. Makes your system last longer. 384-3511, the number for Conway Services, heating, cooling, plumbing, and electric. We'll do this again tomorrow. Have a great day, everybody.
I often say they've set the bar for the way car business